Next story I wanted to talk about is about our old buddy, Robin Bullock. I've talked about him a few times before, but I want to kind of reintroduce you to him because he's got some real weird stuff to say about Noah's Ark. And then after we take a look at Robin Bullock and his weird claims about it, we're going to look at the most recent Ark encounter numbers, like their attendance numbers. We take a look at that. So let's take a look at this Robin Bullock clip. I just want to refresh your memory. This one came out early March 2021. To give you a little bit of a refresher, at this point, he was so upset that Donald Trump wasn't president at this moment. He believed Trump won the election, that he was trying to come up with solutions to make Trump the president again and replace Biden. This one came out early March, and the reason that that's significant is because QAnon and other far-right extremist conspiracy theorists believed that Trump was going to be re-inaugurated as the true president of the United States on March 4th because of some complicated stuff about the Constitution being invalidated after Civil War reconstruction, so on and so forth. It's a big, long conspiracy theory. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. But for the moment, let's watch the clip and see what solution he has to get Donald Trump back in office. Early March 2021.
The stage is set. Everything is set. But you're going to have to pray for the rightful president, whether he wants to walk back into this or not.
So this should be a pretty clear signal that he views Donald Trump as a full-blown prophet, messiah, I would say. Not even a prophet. He doesn't view Trump as a prophet. He doesn't believe that Trump receives prophetic visions or prophetic words or whatever. He has to provide prophetic insight to Donald Trump all the time. He gets on his show and says, I have a message for Donald Trump. I want you to listen to this. And he gives him this prophetic word. He doesn't believe Trump is a prophet. I used that word incorrectly. He views him as a messiah. I'm not being hyperbolic here. He really, really does. Let's keep listening.
You must pray that he wants to do it, because God won't make him do anything. Is it his will? Yes. Is he the president? Yes. That's why he could just walk right back in. And God will supernaturally move things out of the way.
This guy is telling Donald Trump months after Inauguration Day to just walk into the White House and take control, and God will push things out of the way. The fact that Donald Trump didn't do that should tell you all you need to know. Donald Trump doesn't actually believe this stuff. He doesn't buy it at all. But Robin Bullock continues on, continues to push this stuff, continues to try to convince people and Donald Trump that he knows what he's talking about. It is honestly pretty comical to me. Somebody left a voicemail the other day asking me, like, how do I watch this stuff day in and day out? Well, for one thing, I think I'm numb to it at this point. I've seen so much of it. And for another thing, I honestly find it comical. Some of the stuff they say is so off the walls bonkers. It is hilarious. It genuinely makes me laugh, some of this stuff. When you start feeling down about how completely disconnected from reality these people are, just remember how genuinely hilarious some of this stuff is. So that's what happened early March 2021. That was a couple months after inauguration, and that was him feeding into a conspiracy theory that Trump was secretly inaugurated in early March. This one came out mid-November 2021. Robin Bullock was really, really upset at the fact that people thought he was bonkers. He was upset by that. Are you surprised that people think you're bonkers when you say things like you do? Anyways, let's see what he has to say to people like us who think he's a little bonkers.
Apologize. Go ahead and apologize. Well, no! How about that? Just so you can hear me again. No! Because you are wrong. If this had no meaning to it and no prophet standing speaking today if they were all wrong, why don't it go away?
Because you're keeping it alive, bro. You are standing there on your little stage talking to your little audience, telling them that Trump is still the president all the way up to November of 2021. Actually, to this day, honestly, he's still saying it. No joke. He continues to say Trump is still the real president. He was inaugurated in early March, and he should be the one sitting in the White House. And if you don't buy that, then you're delusional. That's what he's saying to this day. Keep listening.
How come it hasn't ever faded away? How come it's still a fight over that election?
It's not. It's not a fight. You're the only one sitting here disagreeing with it. Well, you, Johnny Enlow, and a few high-profile pastors at their churches who continue to push these election conspiracy theories. There is no basis to any of this.
If it was wrong and it wasn't true, then why are we still debating all of this?
We aren't. We're not debating it. You just continue to say this stuff, so I have to keep debunking it. I'm not debating anything. There's nothing to debate.
Folks, it would have already passed. You keep your doctrines. You keep your doctrines, but I'll tell you what, you are going to answer for trying to regulate the Lord's prophets. You with your big educations. You're going to answer for trying to regulate a prophet of the Lord and telling a prophet of the Lord that what God said is not true, but what you said is true. You're in trouble. You're in trouble now.
Is this sad or hilarious? It's really hard to tell. A little bit of both, I suppose. It's a little bit of both. Sad and hilarious simultaneously. You're in trouble now. Are you guys afraid? You better be. You're in trouble now because you're denying that Trump is God's Messiah sent from on high to control the United States. You're denying that. And you're kind of having a little bit of a chuckle at old Robin Bullock here. Absolutely absurd. Okay, so now that I've refreshed your memory on who this guy is, let's get into the latest clip that I wanted to watch. This is about Noah's Ark, okay? He's got some ideas about how Noah went about building a gigantic boat, the biggest wooden boat ever built in the history of ever, before nails existed, before saws existed. So let's get some insight from our old buddy Robin D. Bullock on how Noah went about lifting heavy timber that somehow was sawed into the right shape and size, who knows how, to build the ark, to build Noah's Ark. Listen to this.
And you have to ask yourself this. How did he move those timbers around?
Yeah.
How did he pick up those timbers and move them around?
Solid question. Sounds like you're starting to think critically here. Did you ever consider the possibility that maybe he didn't, and it's just a story? Of course not.
Well, there's something called, everything has a frequency.
Yeah.
This AirPod case has a frequency.
I'm sorry? What are you talking about? This AirPod case has a frequency? Like the physical object?
If you could, because it's made of matter,
Right.
if you could match the frequency of this AirPod case and you knew what it was and you could match it, you could pick it up off the ground without touching it, just through sound.
Okay, I've studied an awful lot of physics. I mean, I don't have a physics degree or anything, so take what I say about it with a grain of salt. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think you can lift an AirPod case by matching its frequency. What is he even talking about here? It gets weirder. It gets weirder. Keep listening.
It had to be moved with sound. Well, that's brilliance of mind that we don't possess right now. We see, all the technology just actually showed how dumb man has become in comparison to how smart Noah and Adam and all of them were.
So Robin Bullock is saying that Noah supposedly lived 6,000 years ago, before nails existed, before saws existed, before forklifts or cranes or any of that stuff existed. Noah somehow, miraculously, sawed a tree down without saws and sawed it into shape without saws, and then picked it up with sound frequencies matching the, ethereal frequency of the tree's soul? I don't know what he thinks he's matching the sound frequency to. And what did he do, for that matter? I mean, how did he expel vibrations from his hand? How would he match? Did he have a device to, emit sound? Did he have computer speakers? Did he have an MP3 player? He's trying to answer questions and fill a gap with a nonsensical answer. This answer is even worse than the other one that they've had up to now, which is to say, God magically made it happen. God did it. God gave him super strength. That would have been a better answer than this bizarre one. It's like he's trying to use science to answer the question when science can't provide an answer to this because it's BS. It never happened. This didn't happen. It's just the strangest thing to sit here and watch somebody make these bizarre claims, try to fill these gaps in their knowledge, fill these holes with weird explanations that don't even make scientific sense, instead of just going with the only answer that you can give here, which is God did it. That's it. That's all you can say about the situation. And if you want to say that, fine, be my guest. But don't try to use science to explain it, because it just leads to absurdity. Now, with all that being said, there's a new article out on the Friendly Atheist's website, which is friendlyatheist.substack.com. That's where he's uploading at the moment. He's also uploading on a website called Only Sky, I think. But this one's on his Substack, so I wanted to read this because the title is Ark Encounters Ticket Sales Went Down in January. So I figured since we're talking about Noah's Ark in the first place, it'd be a good opportunity to read about the Ark Encounter and their latest numbers. This was written by Hemant Mehta on February 21st. It says, attendance at Ark Encounter had a downturn this past January after nearly a year of increased attendance. Not only are the numbers lower than they were a year ago, they're significantly lower than they were before the pandemic, which is bad news for the local economy. Yeah, at this point in time, right now, we're approaching quarter 2 of 2022, and the pandemic is seemingly, it seems to be coming to an end. I mean, we don't know for sure. You need to check with your local government to know what's happening right now up to the moment, but I'm in New York City, and right now things are ramping down. I think they're about to remove mask mandates in school pretty soon in my area. So things are getting a little bit better at the moment with the pandemic. That's good news. But that means that the Ark Encounter honestly should be pushing up. Their numbers should be going way, way up right now. They should be about where they were pre-pandemic, or maybe even higher, because people are starting to go out more and have more fun and do more things. But weirdly, they're significantly lower than they were before the pandemic. Ark Encounter numbers are lower than they were pre-pandemic. Thanks to the public record request by my local paleontologist Dan Phelps, we now have the numbers for January. You can read more background about how it's calculated here. Basically, the way it's calculated, I can give you a quick rundown. The city of Williamstown basically charged a 50-cent per ticket safety fee that pays for ambulances, fire trucks, etc. that was imposed last summer. They knew exactly how many paid visitors actually came to the Ark. The numbers were so bad, they needed to readjust their budget. This article is from 2018, and that's how we have insight into how many paid visitors they have, basically. It's because of this 50-cent per ticket safety fee that's paid. That's public information, the 50-cent per ticket safety fee. So at this time, when this article came out, 2018, the article says, if you do the math, that meant 748,000 tickets were sold over the first 11 months of the fiscal year, not even close to the million that they were hoping for. Either Ark Encounter needed to pull in more than 250,000 visitors in the month of June, or they were giving away a hell of a lot of free passes. So they actually claimed they had over 1 million visitors, but the safety fee only added up to 748,000 ticket sales. So somebody was lying somewhere along the way, or something got fudged somewhere. Anyways, that's how we know how many tickets they've sold. Doesn't speak to how many visitors they had. Some people have like year-long badges or whatever else, but that's how many tickets that they actually sold. Anyway, let's keep reading the latest article. Get back to what we were reading, February 21st, 2022. Here are all the attendance numbers we know, along with the safety fee that Answers in Genesis has paid to the city of Williamstown. The public nature of that fee is how we know the attendance numbers at all. This is the chart. If you're interested, you can pause the video and read through it. But I'm going to continue on with the article because there's a little bit of a breakdown here from Hemant Mehta. Over the past year, Ark Encounter has started to once again host on-site conferences. Like other tourist attractions, they rely on spring break trips, summer vacations, and warmer weather attendees in general, and it's an open question as to whether those people are coming or coming back. Also keep in mind that the Ark's parent company, Crosswater Canyon, received between $1 million and $2 million from the PPP loans from the government because the government loaned a bunch of big companies money to continue paying their payroll through the course of the pandemic. That's what the Paycheck Protection Program was, the PPP loans. And Ham also raised at least $1.1 million in a separate fundraiser to offset COVID-related losses. If they're not doing well, it's not for lack of funding. Finally, remember that actual attendance is likely higher than these numbers represent because kids get in for free, as do members with lifetime passes. But giving away freebies to children and life members doesn't help the local economy as much as drawing in first-time customers who are ready to spend money or conference attendees who are there for another reason. Furthermore, the stated attendance figures are far smaller than the 1.4 to 2.2 million visitors the Ark Encounter's parent company predicted they would be pulling in several years ago. Now, I get why they would have made this prediction, and the prediction would have fallen flat because the pandemic kind of threw a wrench in everybody's plans. I get it, but it is good news to see that their numbers are dropping. I couldn't possibly be happier with the fact that their numbers are dropping because this is nothing but toxic from beginning to end. It's spreading false information. They directly contradict science and logic. Like, how could you possibly believe that this story is really real and literal? But they spend a massive amount of time and energy and money on convincing children that Noah's Ark was a real literal story before the age of reason, before they can think things through logically. It's exactly what happened to me, and I'm sure it's exactly what happened to a lot of you guys too. They convinced you this was real before you had a fighting chance to think for yourself. It's absolutely grotesque. So I am glad that Ark Encounter seems to be failing at this moment. It's not going anywhere. I'm sure it will probably grow in the coming years, but I'm glad to see that it's not doing as well as they predicted initially, at least.